Welcome back to the Ride Boundless podcast with me, Robert Valderrama. On this episode, we speak to Andrew Campo, founder of Meta Magazine. We dive deep into when they launched in 2014, creating an all-print magazine in a digital age, the challenges they face, and now the success they have. Get ready to listen to an exciting show with Andrew Campo. How have you been dealing with this whole COVID-19 situation? How are they dealing with it in Denver? Are they being strict? Is everything still shut down? Do you guys have phases? What's happening?
Yeah, so what's happening right now is things are slowly reopening. It's Saturday was the first day that they, allowed barber shops, salons, certain businesses, retail shops to open back up. But it's surprisingly, I was downtown on Saturday. Our office is located right in downtown. So I was down there Saturday morning and I expected to see a lot of people out. But I was grateful there weren't so many people out, which is nice. I think a lot of people are still being cautious or settling into working from home and don't feel the need to get out right away. Give this thing a little more time. So it's an interesting world we're in. That's sure.
This is going to be remembered throughout the history of time.
Right. I have good days and bad days, probably like everybody else, but it's,
why is that? The emotionally, financially, stress, family, or all of it?
I've got two kids and my wife here at home. My wife's a teacher, so she's teaching remotely now, and I've got two teenagers that are basically been home for 8 weeks right now. It's really tough on them, right? They miss prom. They're
how old
not
are they?
finished. They're 15 and 17.
15. So yeah,
so they're
important times in their life.
I feel bad for them, but they're holding up pretty strong. There's been a lot of positives, like from in regards to like family. We've spent more time around each other over the last 8 weeks than we're accustomed to doing, and it's been beautiful that way. But it's just a struggle, like everywhere else. For me, I do have the Meta office downtown that's been basically shut down and but available to me on a daily basis. So I've been trying to get to the office on average about 4 days a week, and it's crickets in there, but it's also a nice, one less person in the house sometimes goes a long ways.
Where does your business fall in? Is it essential, or are you just opening it because you're just going in there? Are the employees? Are you at 100%? Functionality?
Yeah, there's in it. I'll call it a workspace. We have a pretty large building downtown. There's Meta is the primary business in there. And we also have a design studio. There's a company called Consume and Create, and they lease half the building from me. And then in the back, we have a barber shop. And basically everybody went home, early March. And I've been the only one that's really been going to the building. So it's typically, there's maybe 10 to 12 people working from the building on a normal day. And our staff has all been working remote, and except for myself. So that's what's going on. The barbershop, they came back to work on Saturday.
And that's legal?
Yeah.
That became legal. The reason I ask is because my wife, she just invested in a salon 4 months ago or 5 months ago, right before this took place. And now they're saying that's going to be phase 3. So they're saying right now we're in phase 2. They're saying phase 3 is going to be months away. So it's pretty dramatic. That's why I was kind of wondering what each state's doing.
Yeah, I honestly think it's a little too soon, in my personal opinion. That's why I worked from home today. There are people coming into the barbershop, and the building is separated to where I don't have to really see those people, but there's no need for me to put myself in a risky spot if I don't need to. But those guys have all kinds of rules and mandates that they have to follow now, and it's tough on them, cutting hair all day with a mask on, and everybody wants to communicate right while they're getting their hair cut.
And gloves, right? I mean, like a barber's job is to feel, and it's so difficult and challenging. Right.
Yeah, so they're struggling with that a little bit, but they're also grateful to be back at work. Right?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people affected by this that have no idea when they're going to go back. They already lost their job. There's a lot of there's good. I'm not going to say there's a lot of good, but there is good and there is bad. What's going on with nature, what's going on with you hear Italy's canals, you hear even where I live now. I live in the Hollywood Hills. I've never heard so many birds. I mean, the birds, owls, nature, it's insane. Jaime made a funny comment the other day. He's like, I kind of miss the traffic. And I'm like, why? He goes, because there's no cars now. And now there's more, bugs on the road. So when I'm riding my motorcycle, I'm just getting hit by, that wasn't there before.
That's funny.
But you could just, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say I can relate, man. I rode earlier today to the little town of Golden and back, and I don't know if there's just a lot of bugs out or not, but I kept getting bugs in my face the whole way. Well, yeah, you're right about that. I mean, here in Denver, the city has never looked so beautiful, with clear skies, and it's you can tell that the pollution is down. There's some rad things that are going to come out of this. It's just so unfortunate that we're going through it. That's for sure.
It's very unfortunate. I would say the frustrating part is there's too many people that don't believe it, or there's people of influence that don't believe it. Like Elon Musk recently was talking about this shouldn't be happening. I mean, it's kind of illegal to tell people, hey, stay in your house. If you feel sick, stay at home. If not, continue going out. If you're going to go out, yes, use a mask. Hygiene's important. Yeah. Use your gloves. But to tell people to make stay-home orders, that's pretty extreme. The bad parts is just how it's affecting people financially, because there's I don't remember the exact statistic, but it's something around 70-80% of Americans are 2 paychecks from being homeless,
Yeah.
And we're getting close to that. You have the homeless issue. These guys are struggling. Yeah. Any gyms they were using to shower or being taken care of, or even the beaches. The beaches have public, access where they can shower and take care of themselves. That's all closed down. And then even restaurants that didn't, there was a company, I regret that I don't remember their name, but they used to do a negotiation with whatever leftover food restaurants had. They would grab it or buy it at a very low price and give it to the homeless.
Yeah, in New York it's called City Harvest.
What's it called?
City Harvest.
City Harvest, and those nonprofits, can't function. It's devastating that in that bad aspect.
Yeah.
And then the other part is it's the unknown. It's like every 15 days something changes, and we want to believe the 15th or May 31st or but it keeps changing, and I think that's what really bothers us, is the unknown.
Yeah, I think that for me, that's the one thing that weighs on me, right? Because we're business as usual at Meta right now. We're wrapping up volume 18, and on to volume 19 after June 8th, and this has been a really positive for us in a lot of ways, and it's hard to celebrate that, but it's a funky spot. Like, our subscriptions are through the roof and have been since
Congratulations.
COVID hit. Yeah, thanks. It was tough because with this one, we had to work with our printer to ship subscriptions out. We typically, all that is done in-house, so we had to kind of work around a little bit of that. Newsstands are closed, so we've got to hope that those newsstands open back up to get those copies out there. But on one hand, we're doing great. Eyeballs have never been bigger, and on the other hand, it's basically crickets out there. People are either furloughed, budgets are frozen, and it's the unknown that you just brought up that is nobody knows what to do, right? As far as everything from collecting an invoice to making an agreement on an ad buy, or pushing forward on special projects that we had in the pipeline. Like, all that stuff is basically, I wouldn't say it's come to a halt, but I'd say that about 60% of that business is being parked right now, which is tough.
It's very tough, but I do have to say congratulations on the success of the magazine currently right now, just because how many people are you guys helping and influencing and distracting people from, being stuck at home or depressed or being driven crazy or even arguing with their significant others? It's such a positive thing. And also people are reading, people are actually which is huge.
Definitely people are reading. And I think people are wanting to turn off, televisions and phones and actually have an analog experience, and it's definitely benefited us to some degree. And I get a lot of emails from subscribers, and quite a few lately, just thanking us for what we do and really enjoying the product that they've received. And when I said earlier I was writing, I got an email from a subscriber in the town of Golden, Colorado, saying that he never received his copy. And when the printer shipped them out, they didn't have tracking on it, right? So I couldn't really track it down. And I gave the guy a call and just said, "Hey, man, you be around later on? Because I'll bring you that copy today." And he's like, "You'll do what?" And I was like, "Get on my motorcycle and ride over there and drop one off." And I ended up having about 20-minute conversation, making a new friend.
But very cool.
He was, it's every now and then I keep an eye on subscriptions and orders. And there's been a few times when I've got, the first one I got was like, I remember it was like 4:00 one day, and I got a subscription locally here in Denver. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just jump on my bike and get that in that mailbox before that person gets home from work. So I do that when I can. Just try to.
That's so cool. Quick question,
cool.
Not a question, but since we're getting into the business, can you describe your magazine company? Can you describe your position, your start? Who are you?
Yeah, so I'm the founder and publisher of Meta. We're alongside Ben Giese, who's our creative director, Paul Tamburello, who's our business mentor, and Jason Assad, who is he's actually located in the East Coast. He was one of our original investors. We're a small team of 4 people on a day-to-day. Ben and I lead the business and the creative efforts. My role with the business is it's basically a publisher's role. where I focus on relationships and making sure the lights are turned on and those type of things, ad partner relationships and things. Ben is an amazing person, a great business partner, but he leads all creative for us. From time to time, I'll write a story, and there was more of that was going on in the beginning, where this last volume that we're working on right now, I wrote one intro for a story. The rest of what I do is just the business side of everything. Ben came to work for me prior to Meta with another media company that I was an owner in, and the two of us had I'd worked in publishing. My backstory goes back to California. I started my career at Snowboarder magazine, which was in San Juan Capistrano, and I spent about 8 years between snowboarder, skateboarder, and surfer titles, working in different departments, everything from photo to editorial to marketing in those departments, and basically was educated through that job offering, which was awesome. So I had the publishing background, and then Ben had the design background, and over the course of those 8 years that Surfer Publishing Group, it was the original name of that group, I worked alongside a lot of super talented designers. And when I started working with Ben, I just knew there was something really special. We had kind of very similar upbringings. We're both Colorado natives and grew up racing dirt bikes in different eras, where I think I'm 13 years older than Ben is. But we basically did the same things as kids, right? And had the same passions and everything else.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
So you guys clicked.
We clicked. He was working for DC Shoes back when I hired him. And he was a graphic designer for DC and doing some really cool stuff. He produced a great video with Robbie Madison, and he was just different. Like, his style was super rad, and I don't know, we just clicked. He was the guy that would deliver ad creatives to me, and we got to talking, and we knew each other kind of through racing, but we hadn't really had a friendship in place until he was at DC, and we just became friends and started talking about. Are you familiar with Monster Children magazine?
I'm not. Monster Children magazine. I'm not.
Yeah, it's a great title. If you get a chance, you should visit their website, or try to find one at a.
Actually, we're pulling it up right now.
Store, but yeah, those guys were a big influence in regards to taking a leap of faith with Meta. It's just a small independent publishing group out of Australia that did things their way. It's a skate publication, but Ben and I we started talking about there was a void we felt in publishing that had more. What's the right way to put it? We felt like there wasn't really an artistic publication in the space that covered multiple genres of motorcycling.
Yeah.
We're dirt bike kids, but we also love riding all kinds of motorcycles, and knew we knew where motorcycles could take us, right? On journeys around the world. And in 2014, we started researching, papers and, working on different business strategies and how can we make this thing work. And, I spent a lot of time in California talking to potential advertisers, and at that time everybody's like, dude, what are you thinking? Going to print? Print's dead. And that was really what part of the spark. Print will never die. It will change shape. And that's exactly what it's doing, and especially over the course of the last
what do you mean it will change shape? Like, would you consider when it goes digital that's still a type of print, or you're thinking actual hard print will always?
Print will stick around, right? What I mean is, if you take a traditional monthly periodical before like the boom of online content, right? Those guys have to change their strategy, right? Like, that content's already available online for the most part. If you're doing a bike review or current events, things of that nature. So, what we wanted to do was tell stories and timeless stories. And we felt like, from day one, we've referred to Meta as a print collection. And, the idea was to, build this collection, this print collection. So you pick it up 10, 15 years from now, read that story, and it still applies, right? It's, there's nothing, we don't focus on, a race calendar or a championship or anything that really has to do with, a current event. And so that was part of our strategy, is evergreen content, beautiful landscape. If you go through our book, you'll notice there's not a single page in our book or a fractional anything. It's all spread, landscape spreads, and that's something that's kind of unique to Meta. I haven't seen anybody else do that. But
it's
beautiful. The whole idea was,
it's beautiful. Well, we've been going through it all week.
Nice.
Question: Do you outsource certain photographers, or the reason it's so consistent because you do? Yeah. What's that?
Yeah,
process
we do.
like?
It's very interesting, and it's one of the things that there's a lot of things that make doing what we do enjoyable, but we're 18 volumes in now, and with each volume, we've probably met somebody new, right? Be it a photographer, a journalist, a filmmaker, a subject. So we've been able over the years to kind of build a pool of contributors on a global scale that we do work with, and each story will look at that subject, and it might a region might determine who we use to shoot, or write a journalist that has a writing style that would fit that story best. So every story is case by case, and like I said, some of it we take on ourselves. Ben's been doing a lot of writing. Over the last couple of years, he's taken on more and more of the editorial stuff himself. But we've got a network of contributors built up now that is pretty deep and extremely talented. And we can, on a daily basis, we get emails from people that would like to contribute and would like for us to look at their work, and it's there. I remember volumes, like volume 1 and 2.
Right.
We took on the grunt of most of that work, right? We were shooting, we were writing, Ben was designing. And then it seemed like once the product was in the marketplace, that's when the outreach came.
Oh, and it's like the old saying: once you build it, they will come.
That definitely has happened, and like I said, it's been great because at the end of the day, there's a relationship that's normally built along the way through the process of creating this content. And so our community continues to grow. And like I said, we now have a ton more friends around the globe that we truly call friends. And that's the special stuff to me.
No, that's beautiful. Can we talk about two things? One, can we talk about the process of one magazine? What do you guys have the stories first, or do you guys say, hey, we're going to do this story? How far do you plan out? Where like the whole process, the editing, printing, subscription, etc. And then after that, I want to talk about the videos, because the videos are something else.
Thank you. The process, we're never super far out, especially with what's going on with COVID. That's kind of forcing us to get creative and maybe change up our planning a little bit for this year. But moving into 2020, we decided to go from 3 volumes a year, which we had been at for quite some time, to 4 volumes. And
why was it at 3?
What
was the original idea?
It was originally at 2, right? That's what we did the first year. I knew I could get the support, or felt comfortable I could get the support to do 2 volumes. And when we launched, everything was, there was a lot of unknowns. Where was this going to go? How were people going to react to it? How are we going to build our readership? Those things. And we quickly grew out of 2 and knew that we could get the support to do 3. And then 3 was kind of the magic number for quite some time, because it allowed us to truly put our best effort into each book, right? And time-wise, and for us to enjoy what we're doing, which is a big part of why we're doing what we're doing, is
and the success.
We don't want to just be hammered by deadlines, right? That's kind of a world we didn't want to be living in, that we were both in before. And when we're at 3, it was working. We're getting, we're growing in a lot of ways. We just had enough time in between each volume to, travel abroad if we needed to capture the stories and not kill ourselves being up all night trying to chase deadlines. But we
were you still working full-time another job, or this was dedicated and you just appreciated the space you guys had?
We've been basically working on Meta from day one. Ben has 100%. I've had a couple side projects come at me from time to time that I've taken because it's the financial side of things. There's a lot of personal investment to get to where we are now. So I've done a little side work from time to time, but not doing that these days, right? What we decided to do this year was to search for a print solution that would buy us more time. So we made a print with volume 16. We switched printers for the first time, and probably for the last time. We're really happy with where we're at right now. But the printer that we went to, they're able to basically do somewhere in the 10 to 12 day turnaround from when we drop files to have our finished product back. Prior to that, our other printer was 30 to 45 days from dropping files to releasing books.
Big difference.
Big difference. So that opened us up.
How many books is that?
Oh, when we go to print, we print 10,000. Yeah. So we opened up basically about a 3-month window by moving printers, and decided to go for 4 volumes this year. And so far so good. had a meeting with Ben today, volume 19. We reviewed all pagination. We talked through the stories and ideas. And so that's now kind of in the can. We know what we're working on. We're working on that prior to being finished with volume 18, which is great. We're further ahead than we've ever been in 2020, which is awesome.
In a way, would you say because of COVID-19, and in an interesting way, because of COVID-19, would you guys say that you guys are more focused on getting work done from the house, remotely, kind of, it's you don't have that daily distractions, I guess.
It's interesting. I'm just going to change my position here.
Yeah, get comfortable.
COVID-19 has really allowed us to, it's allowed us a lot of time to really think and think forward. The problem is we don't know what the future looks like, but it really has, it's been a gift in a lot of ways, right? It's I don't know how to really put this right.
It's like we're meditating because we're forced to, in a sense.
Yeah, we're kind of right. We're reinventing, right? And we're not doing that alone. Everybody's is adapting, reinventing, and everything else. And for us, it's, I don't know, it's been really good. Like I said, we see this shot in the arm with subscribers. We've done a great job building our readership over the years, but I think for us, it does feel like we've had more time. It's kind of weird. We've been working with an amazing lady named Rebecca. She's a business coach for us. First time we've brought somebody like that into our circle. We worked with her for about the last year leading into 2020. And, the decision to move to 4 volumes, switch printers, to, take on more kind of special projects, which would be video projects that kind of coincide with what we're doing at print. I'll be very blunt. In February, I remember riding to work one day and just kind of telling myself, like, heck yeah, man. Everything you've worked for the last 6.5, 7 years is now paying off. Like 2020 is your year. And that was mid-February, man. First week of March. I'm just like, God, kidding me?
What happened?
Yeah.
I think that's everybody's reaction.
Dude, and there's this alone together thing going on, but my opinion is, I think we're all in this storm, but we're all in different ships, right? And for us, we're going to weather the storm.
We always do.
We're good at Meta. We're gonna. My hopes are that Q3 and 4 are the strongest quarters we've ever experienced. And we're fine. We're going to make it there for sure. Now, if we're on lockdown till 2022, that's a whole nother story, right?
Yeah.
But
literally.
Yeah, it's going to be different. But for right now, we're doing just fine.
Yeah, no. We've got. Luckily, we've been blessed on talking to a lot of people, and this is just my opinion. But I feel like the everyday distractions, the bar, the nightclub, the lunch, go to lunch instead of eating at home, just a meal, going to the restaurant, standing in line, staying in traffic, whatever anybody was getting into, going to the gas station, 3-4 times a week, all those unnecessary distractions that are just kind of on our way to work or home, they're gone. Yeah. Birthday parties. Yeah. It's a bummer, but birthday parties are a big distraction. Graduations, I know it sucks. I mean, if your kids, they should graduate, but it's a week of getting ready. It's clothes, it's tuxedos, it's this, it's that, and the other. Weddings, again, it sucks for the people that can't have their weddings, but come on, I was getting invited to a wedding once a month, and then that's going shopping for a gift. It's so much distraction. I enjoyed it, but the amount of family time and the amount of time that I get to spend with my, my wife, my family, having to, focus on them, I think it's more productive. And now when I do have a time,
there's no question about that.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. I've got a big circle of friends. I'm definitely the more social one in our partnership. Benny's a little more reclusive, and COVID hasn't really affected him. He likes to work from his home studio, and he likes peace and quiet. And prior to this, I was the guy that was, always going to meet my friend here and to go do this and to go do that. And at first that was really kind of something I was missing, and I've just been going on solo rides and spending more time, reading, and I don't feel that need to go out and do all those things that you're talking about.
The distraction, which are fun. Nice. They're amazing, but it's amazing how much time goes into putting that.
It's amazing how much money goes into that too.
That's actually why this conversation and this opinion came up with some friends, is because we were just talking about how much money you're saving by not going and taking up every single invitation of.
Well, just from working from home, you're saving a lot of money, especially here in LA.
Right.
They have to drive everywhere. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Well, gas was almost $5 a gallon. Now it's like $2.99. It's been this guy here, I was busting his chops because he drives a Prius, and no disrespect to Prius drivers, but I'm not a fan.
It will be the first time.
Not a fan.
It will be the first time.
And I think there hasn't been an episode where I haven't busted his chops, but it was the commute and gas and the expense, the unnecessary expense. He just came over to the studio in a truck. He bought a Tacoma, low-fi interest rates, and I was like, it's a better truck than my truck. That's the worst part.
I got an amazing deal. They've been closed for 2 months, and I went there, and I was like, well, I know you guys want to sell cars, so let's work this out.
Make it happen. Yeah, definitely. For us, I didn't eat at home, right? My wife's a school teacher. She's gone first thing in the morning, and I was left on my own. I would stop and get a breakfast burrito, go out to lunch, grab some dinner, and go to the bar with my friends.
That's $150.
I'm now seeing, quick, but yeah, we're eating 3 meals a day at home now, and it's cool. I like. Yeah, I think some good things will come out of this. People that I think people are definitely going to learn that you can work from home. I mean, look what we're doing right now. The whole Zoom thing is, my wife's teaching a whole class of kids every single day, and my kids are learning and doing their schooling at home. But I think the commute and these workspaces, the WeWorks of the world,
right?
I think those guys are gonna
suffer.
I don't think people are going to realize they can just stay at home and get stuff done now.
And to even add into the financial aspect part of it, even because you go to the bars, you got to buy, a $60 shirt with, $200 pair of jeans, and, the new Jordans just came out, and those are, $400. The money we used to spend, nobody's wearing their stuff. Or you look at the Instagram models, they can't get their lips done, or, it's so crazy.
Good.
Yeah, exactly. Good.
But now we're spending it in home renovations and
you're riding your bike every day.
I'm riding my motorcycle.
Yeah.
I am riding my motorcycle.
That's one thing I've been to. I've been riding every day that I can.
What do you ride?
At first, what do I ride? My daily bike's a Triumph Bonneville.
Very nice.
I'm kind of.
Where are cool spots in Denver? Where do you usually go?
Typically, I go over towards Golden.
Where's
which
that?
Is,
yeah.
Golden's just west of Denver. Depending on the time of day, 15 minutes from downtown, and you're at the base of the mountains. And so there's once you get to Golden, there's multiple different roads that lead up into different mountain trips. So most of the time we're up in the mountains, and then when winter hits, we'll head out east. When you go east of the city, you're basically heading out into the plains, but the mountain roads get a little sketchy during the winter with they put down like pumice salt or pumice rock and sand and stuff to help cars have better traction, which is pretty sketchy for bikes at some point. But yeah, I'm used for the most part. The Rockies are right down the street from my house. I can be in the mountains in 15 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you how far is the Meta office from you?
For Meta office for me is 6 miles, maybe. Not very far.
Nice. Do you have any cool rides, or is just mainly like city riding?
Yeah, it's pretty much city riding, getting to the office.
And you said that this is the bike that you commute with, but do you have any dirt bikes or any other bikes?
Yeah. Currently, I don't have a dirt bike. I haven't had one for about a year. I'm kind of taking a little time off of dirt bikes right now because of an injury. So
what happened? Motorcycle related or?
Yeah. I came up short on a jump last summer or last September, and ended up getting a couple fractures in my lower vertebrae. And at that point, I've just needed to stay off dirt bikes for a minute, let my back heal up. I feel like I'm healed up right now. Feel pretty good. I do ride pit bikes a lot, like little 110s.
Yeah.
I have a beautiful pit bike track in my backyard, as well as one at the office, which is super fun. So we're, at the office, usually during the summer, we'll wrap up work and go out back. We have a big fire pit and a nice track, and Ben and I can race around there and do that. But
so your life just consists of fun.
Yeah, it does, man. If there's one thing that I'm good at, it's kind of having fun. I figured that one out somehow or another. Meta has definitely allowed us to have a lot of fun over the years. There's been some amazing experiences. You were kind of asking me to maybe dive into some of those.
I absolutely. Yeah. Before we do that, I just want to get into the videos, because I've been seeing some videos and I've been seeing the Instagram post that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. When did you guys transition to video, and where are you currently doing them? And are you going to do any films or,
Yeah, so we're. It was right around volume 7. It was volume 7. Ben and I went to Indonesia, over to Bali, and spent some time with a friend of ours. Yeah, it was amazing. And I definitely hope to be back there sooner than later. But we worked with a guy named Dustin Humphreys, who was the guy who started Deus Bali. And Dustin and his media team, along with Ben producing, we worked on a film while we were out there. And so that was the cover story for volume 7. And we released the film component alongside the release of the book. And somehow or another, we figured out how to do that ever since. So typically our cover story is also supported by a short film.
And that helps the subscriptions or the sales or promotes it or what's.
Yeah, definitely. It allows us to give readers an inside look into what's inside the magazine. It allows us to better tell that story visually and through cinematography, and it's something that I think as a producer, Ben is really kind of elevated our product by bringing those film ideas to life. So we're we've like 4 or 5 different films that we have planned for later in this year. But
can't wait.
Yeah, it's been great. It's definitely something that we didn't set out to do originally, but it's just become a part of each volume now, and it's great because we work with some partners. We've done some film work with Triumph, with Danner Boot, with Firestone Walker, and it allows us to share these assets with our supporters and to have a bigger social reach and create more awareness for each release. And it's good stuff.
Do you guys usually work with the same filming crew and or is just something that you guys
outsource
concepting of the video and then a crew goes and shoot it? Or
yeah, the concepting of everything will happen in house. That again is Ben. He'll concept and produce stuff. We work with a film company out of Denver here. They actually office out of our same spot. They're called Voca Films, and they do amazing work. So the majority of the stuff that we're doing here in the U.S. Is with those guys. We've also worked with Dean Bradshaw recently on a film that was done alongside Firestone Walker, based off of Dylan Gordon, photographer out of California. Dean is amazing. There's another guy named Sebastian that's out of France that is working on. This will be his second film. The release of Volume 18. Zanella, I believe is his last name.
This is the guy that you talked to me about, that he was close to Spain and stuff?
No, those are other buddies. That's Sebas Romero, and those guys do some great film work as well out of Barcelona.
Mm-hmm.
But again, a lot of these, it depends on what that story and that subject is, and who we think can artistically hit that home run for us. So it's a case by case deal, but I would say between Sebastian and Voca Films, those are our kind of go-to guys right now for those projects.
What percentage of these trips do you guys do with the film crew?
Say that again.
To what percentage of these trips do you get to go to the filming and to ride with them?
Are you
involved? Do you guys go to all of them, or?
More than Ben is pretty much on all of those, especially if we have a film project involved. Ben will be there leading the project as a producer. Myself, not so much. In the beginning, I was on more trips than I am these days, and that's just simply because the business is growing, and we're a very small team, so it's my days are mostly spent in office. But when we started Meta, our goal was to let this publication create a life for us, right? And it's definitely done that. I've traveled the world already, and over the past 6 years, I've done a lot of traveling, great experiences. Right, the last 2 years, I don't think I've left the country for 2 years now.
Wow.
which I'm itching. I'm itching to, and it's kind of up to me to figure out
Where?
what's the, it all comes down to really the story, right? Like, I need to figure that out. Ben and I have been talking about getting back, like just the two of us going and doing a trip abroad like we used to do.
Yeah.
Kind of getting back to some of that, but by no means is I'm not just at the computer every day. I'm also getting out and riding, and I ride motorcycles a little, probably more than I should.
Yeah.
I'm just not getting out on the trips that make it to print.
I was just wondering because I see the cover image of this meta film called Immunity, and if I'm you, and Ben comes back with this video and I haven't been there, I will probably hit myself for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'll be honest. There's times when, earlier this year, Ben was Central Coast, California, multiple times working on shoots, and I'm sitting here just pounding the pavement and trying to make sure that we're good to go for the year. But so there's times when it's hard to be here, getting little check-in calls and I was at Big Sur today. It's so beautiful. I love the redwoods, and but at the same time, like I've been pretty blessed with getting on trips in the past, and I know that I'll be on more of them in the future. So,
what's been your favorite trip that you've taken in the past, and like the most beautiful, amazing, magical trip you've ever had?
If you would have to recommend us one, which one would it be?
It's going to be hard to top Indonesia,
really?
But but I will say there's a trip that we took to Sweden. Trying to think which volume that was. I think it was for volume 6. It's a while ago. But it allowed us the opportunity. It was a trip that we were invited over to Sweden from Husqvarna, and we were able to spend time visiting their history museum and learning a lot about the brand, right? And that trip, we were alongside some legends on that trip. Our chaperone, if you will, is a guy named Gunnar Lindstrom, and he was a world motocross champion and just a legend of the sport. And we were in some meetings. It's actually, I think, Husqvarna was going to release the Vitpillen 701. Do you guys remember when that bike kind of came onto the market?
Yep, the street one, yeah.
Yeah. So they, I had seen some concept images of that bike and fell in love with that motorcycle. And I was 2 years before I ever saw it in real life. But during that time, they brought us over there, and they brought brand managers from different countries, and I don't know, we were in some very intimate meetings and dinners that were focused on basically the rebirthing of this brand Husqvarna, right? And with all this history, and that's when I kind of felt like we're definitely on track with Meta, because they could have pulled any publication to come over on this trip, but they wanted us to tell the story. And for that reason, that's the trip that really, I really feel like that's when things got very real for us. And Sweden's an amazing country and great people. So
it looks beautiful. It looks like there's unlimited roads to ride. I have a question on Indonesia. everybody I speak to that goes there is saying it's a magical, beautiful, it's a paradise, it's peaceful, meditation, relaxation, good environment. I hear all that. But how's the riding out there? Is there awesome riding trails? Is it a great place to ride motorcycles, or is it just a lot of scooters? How would you describe the riding?
It's just pure chaos, to be honest with you, because there are, the majority of vehicles on the roads are scooters and motorcycles,
right?
And people. It took a lot to get used to. For me, you're riding on the opposite side of the road. I think we were there for maybe 8 days.
Okay.
We did do a lot of off-road riding, and that we were riding in locations. We rode in Java and Bromo, different volcanoes that we went to visit. We definitely had never even seen a volcano, let alone right at the base of one. So we got to experience some just amazing landscape, and that's just different culture.
So it's the nature.
The nature was insane. Like, we didn't do a whole lot of street riding when we were there.
Yeah,
we were going to different locations to film and ride dirt bikes and whatnot. But it's certainly is beautiful. The people over there are very kind, lots of smiles, and just people welcome you,
That's awesome.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it over there a lot. It was awesome.
What country is your favorite for riding that you just saw? It just looked like a paradise.
If I could be anywhere riding right now, I'd be in Baja, California.
Baja.
I think that, it has a special place in my heart. I've spent a lot of time riding down in Baja over the years, and I think that's kind of off-road. That's the freest I've ever felt is when I'm in Baja. That's a pretty special place for me.
When's the last time you were there?
4 years ago, I think.
And what do? You bring your bike, or you rent a bike, or?
I used to go on an annual trip down there, where I think I've brought bikes down there in the past, but I've also have a good relationship with Husqvarna, and they've helped. I've either flown into San Diego and had some bikes there ready for me, which I'm really grateful for that.
So convenient.
I've also driven out there with my own bikes over the years. We work pretty closely with a brand called FMF, their exhaust company in motocross, and Donnie Emler, who's basically runs FMF Junior. His dad founded the company. Donnie's put together trips where he pulls different people from the industry together, and a good group of friends and industry guys that get down there. And it's usually maybe 30 of us that take off and ride for a week or so and come back. And those are the best trips.
It's so freeing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's great, man. You ride into like a city of Ensenada. It's a real city. 30 guys on dirt bikes just rolling through the city, and cops waving at you, and another thing that's really cool down there too. I like to talk about this because it's neat, but there's a lot of poverty in that area, or in Mexico. But we've been to so many like little super small villages, and these kids, they'll line the streets when they hear the motorcycles coming, and they just want high fives, right? And you see these little kids, no shoes, they don't have much at all, right?
Right.
Basically, those kids don't have comic books, they don't have TV, right? They don't have superheroes, they don't have anything, right?
They don't have.
Yeah, so the motorcyclist, the dirt bike rider, because of the Baja 500 and 1000 and just all the motorsports history in Baja. We're their heroes, right? Like
Right.
they don't know who Spider-Man is because they've never been to a movie theater. They don't have a TV, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, those
Network
little guys,
television
man.
doesn't get there.
No, it certainly doesn't, especially in those really small villages. So, you know, when you ride through a community and you get to stop and, you know, put a kid up on your bike and, you know,
It
give them
lightens
high
up their day.
fives. Oh man, that's the stuff that I'm really big on.
Yeah, I've experienced that in two places. I experienced that. I was in 2016. I was in Mumbai, and the cutest thing that ever happened was I was in the back of a taxi drinking a Red Bull, and I was halfway through the Red Bull, and this little 6-year-old girl was like selling books on the street. You know, no shoes, just dirty, very pretty, but she was happy, and she was with her sister, and she knocks on the window, and she's like, "Book," and I was like, "Of course, I'll take a book." And then I give her, you know, some money, and then she looks at my Red Bull and she's like, you know, can I have it? And I'm thinking, oh, she's gonna recycle, you know, the cans, or I don't know what they're doing. I give it to her. She grabs it, pounds the Red Bull, throws it on the floor, and just smiles and says bye. And I was just like, that's amazing. She really just wanted to enjoy that. And the other country that I experienced that a lot is Cuba. Every time I go to Cuba, it's the nicest, most honest, most simple. Like because it's communist, money has no value. They have no stores. So the simple, you know, they're the nicest people. You give them a shirt or some old shoes or whatever the case is. They're so happy, and it's
and smiling. I bet
I've never seen people happier ever. When I was there in 2017, they still didn't have Facebook. There was no Wi-Fi. There was no iPhone didn't work over there. And it's just like maybe one time I ran into some guy trying to sell me something that I don't know, he probably took from somewhere. 2 people down, this lady walked up to me and says, don't that's not a good, like everybody knows everybody, you know, and everybody communicates. And it's just, it's so authentic compared to, you know, I mean, I don't want to say everybody in the US, but it's more authentic because they have nothing. They really have nothing.
So it wasn't a meta trip, but it was with my business partner, Paul, who over time he's with his other businesses, he works on setting up dental teams and medical teams and helping communities in need globally, right? So he invited me to Haiti maybe 3 or 4 years ago, following Hurricane Matthew. We went to Haiti to help rebuild some homes, help source some food. It was an amazing experience, but I mean, these people had nothing. I mean, nothing, right? And the one thing I was just blown away with was everybody was smiling. Like it's really hard to see that, right? Like
right, they had an earthquake prior to that. Then they had the hurricane. And they're completely flooded. They have no power. There's no resources. It's so complicated, and they're happy. They're happy to be alive. They're happy to see their family.
Have you guys noticed also that in a lot of these places that we wouldn't expect to see people that happy, they also have not physical boundaries at all. Like, I don't know if you guys have experienced anything like that, but I think a year ago, I go to Spain every year, right? So last Christmas, I went with my wife and my kid to Morocco, right, to Marrakesh. And everybody would just pick up my kid from the floor, and we're talking about a 2-year-old, and would just be like, "Oh my God, you're so cute!" And I was like, "Wow, this would never ever happen in the U.S. A guy would just randomly pick up your kid from the floor," and my wife is like terrified, and I was like, "Wait, hold on, see what he does with the kid," and he would just like bring him up and try and make him laugh, and then put him in the floor and leave. And I was like, "Wow, this wouldn't fly at all in the U.S.
At all."
Yeah, that's good stuff. And that's one thing about Meta that I'm super grateful is, you know, to be able to experience different cultures. And yeah, we were working on a Cuba trip a few years ago, but the logistics just didn't work out. We're hoping to get down there.
It's beautiful. You have to hurry and do it, just because
I'm Cuban.
It's my nationality is Cuban. But you know, I've traveled to UAE. I've been to desert. I've been everywhere. Cuba is time traveling to the 50s, seeing those cars. The island's huge. The waters are virgin, you know, in the sense of you jump off. There's waterfalls by Pinar del Rio that you jump into, and when you land in the water, there is thousands of fish swimming around you, covering you. You don't even see that in Hawaii. You know, there's been so much hunting and so much fish, you know, getting, you know, dying or being, you know, hunted. Fished. Yeah, fished. That they say it's empty. It's not what it was, you know, in the 80s. Cuba's sea life, island life, people, it's crazy. But now that the Wi-Fi is there, now that there's Facebook, now that there's smartphones, I can see how quickly it's going to change. And that's why I strongly suggest for anybody, like, go now, you know, because it's going to change in the next 5 years. But if you want to time travel and see historic anything, you know, that's one of my favorite places.
Yeah, we did quite a bit of research in anticipation of doing that story, and I'm definitely eager to get over there and check it out for sure.
Yeah. What's the future for Meta Magazine? What are you guys looking forward to doing? What are you guys going to launch? What can we all expect? What's the next big thing?
Next big thing was 4 volumes a year. What we're really focused on right now internally is simplifying things, and kind of COVID has helped us there. What we wanted to do is build our staff a little bit more. We've got some great people here. I have 2 people that work for me part-time, but grow our staff a little bit. But then I think the next big thing for us is Ben and I doing another international trip like we used to do. Yeah. Just getting into the rhythm of what we're doing, which we're in it right now. It's like I mentioned earlier, we're further ahead than we've ever been with our planning. And really I brought up Rebecca earlier, our business coach, but she really drilled into us or opened us up this year to figure out, what we understand, what our vision of success is as a group, right? And we've built a roadmap to get there over time. And I think that's the most exciting thing right now is we know where we're going. We know what success means to us, and we're confident that we can achieve that. It's kind of funny, Jaime, I think I mentioned this to you, but in one of our last meetings with Rebecca, we talked about 3, 5, and 10-year goals, and one of my goals was to have an office in. I threw Barcelona out there, so I would love to maybe live in Spain for a little bit, and my kids will be gone to college by then. I'd like to go live abroad. My family is originally, my grandfather's from Italy, and I've spent a ton of time there. I love Italy. But
it's beautiful. It's unfortunate what they're dealing with. It's very sad.
Yeah. Same deal with in Spain as well. But I think.
Yeah, Spain right now is the worst country. I think of.
I don't think it's beat it. Has it beat Italy?
Oh yeah, big time.
Oh my God.
It's beaten man by the amount of deaths per population, right? But if I can only give you one advice, try and if you're moving to Spain, please move to a place that doesn't want to separate from Spain. That would be ideal,
What do you mean it doesn't want to separate you from Spain?
Yeah, well, no, not separate him. Separate itself from Spain. Because, Barcelona and Catalonia in general doing big attempts to try and separate from the country, and we all should.
Oh, that's it.
We all should try and not visit them. Because they're trying to separate themselves for not associating themselves with the culture of Spain, and they just don't realize that the only thing that they have, of tourism is because they're part of Spain and part of the culture, right? And hopefully people realize that it's basically visiting Catalonia once they separate is basically visiting North Korea. So
wow,
hopefully,
I wasn't aware.
Yeah,
that was the only place. That was one of the places I didn't get to see when I was there. I was in Madrid and Valencia.
Well, there's a couple of buildings that you can Google, and other than that, that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it.
That's some good insight. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, and I know there is a great place because it's close to France and the Pyrenees and stuff, but
and the church.
The La Sagrada Familia. But other than that, again, you can get out a little bit, like a couple of miles from the border of Catalonia, and you'll be exactly as set.
When did you guys start getting? Because Jaime pulled up your sponsorships, supporting partners. When did you guys start getting your supporting partners? And is there any shout outs you want to do about them or?
Yeah, well, we were,
and they're
really
all amazing ones.
Yeah, that we've worked with some great partners, and a lot of those partnerships are true friendships at this point, right? We, from day one, volume one of Meta, I was able to get some support within the industry. And a lot of that I attribute to my publishing company prior to Meta, was focused on motocross specifically, but it opened me up to manufacturers, to different brands. If you look at volumes 1 and 2, even 3, of Meta, they were our original. They were more motocross centric than. It was really volume 4 of Meta that I really feel like we started figuring out where we were going as far as editorial direction, and that was to cross more genres of motorcycling. But we've had great partnerships. From day one, we have partners that told me I was crazy to go to print in a digital time, and however they wanted to support this, it was unique, it was rad, and I think for the most part, some of those companies probably thought, well, let's support it, but the reality of a print magazine, making it is slim to none, and it really is a specialty publications. And not many of them make it past their first year. I'd say 90% of them are done after their second year.
Yeah, there's so many hurdles.
Yeah, there's a lot of hurdles. You got to build a readership, and you've got to have a product that people really want, and it's got to be authentic and real. And I think that's,
and it's complicated because the first thing I start thinking is just the limitation of distribution. You got to count on the printers, you got to count on the picking up, you got to pick up on the delivery. You
guys have also the longest list that I've seen in a motorcycle magazine of distribution, as you said. There's a specialty shops, you have a huge list, and then just bookstores.
Yeah, so I'll tell you that story because it's kind of interesting.
That's amazing.
It was volume 2 that we decided to go after distribution. Volumes 1 and 2 were just single copy sales and subscribers. And I reached out to Barnes and Noble, and I got a conversation going with them. And the lady she was very kind of stern. She reminded me of like a really mean principal, right? At school or something.
Right.
And
just
she
grumpy,
said, all right, yeah. Basically, she told me, she goes, here's the deal. I want you to, submit this paperwork that includes our business plan, our vision. It was probably 6 pages worth of stuff that I had to write up and
so she kind of was like a grumpy principal giving you homework.
Yeah, a lot of homework, and she said, make this make sense to us, and then she told me, she goes, send that and a copy of volumes 1 and 2 to me, and then this is where it's kind of funny. She says, and then I want you to go to your mailbox 8 weeks from the time you send me that package and look for a letter from me. And if that letter's not there in 8 weeks, then go back to your mailbox in 9 weeks. And she says, but what you don't do is you don't email me, you don't call me.
Oh, wow.
She says, you'll hear back from me, whether it's yes or no, by way of mail. End of story.
8 to 9 weeks. That's it.
Yeah. So I remember getting off that phone call with her, and I told Ben, I said, man, I don't think we're going to get into Barnes and Noble based on this conversation with this lady. She literally was not nice. She was just kind of mean about everything. I was like, ah. And it was less than 2 weeks after I sent the package to her, she called me out of the blue. And I was really shocked to get a phone call. And she said, hey, I'm reviewing your magazine. I'm looking at your business vision. And she goes, congratulations. I can sell this. And I said, yeah. She goes, it's timeless. She goes, I can sell this on the periodical stand. And that's where I mentioned earlier, periodicals, your traditional magazines are struggling. They're not selling because that content is available on
online.
Yeah, online, right? For the most part, right? That's where people are getting that kind of information. So, there was our recipe for our content recipe was what landed that deal at Barnes and Noble. And so our distribution company, it's now called ANC. It was TNG to begin with, but basically once we got approval for Barnes and Noble, they put us in touch with the distribution company that handles distribution. And so how that works is, it's an initial order of X amount of magazines, and then they put them into all different regions, and they have regional buyers that basically they'll report on how many copies were sold. And that's how a magazine makes it to the front of a rack versus one that's in the back of the rack. The ones that sell better move up forward. And, we started learning that, but our distribution company also works with a lot of independent bookstores and, magazine stands in cities like San Francisco and New York, where you see magazine stands. So we have a team of people that I don't know on a personal basis. I have one representative at the distribution company that basically that team reports to them. They'll bring in a publication. They know who we are now, right? But in the beginning, the distribution company had to educate their sales team as to what our publication was and what market we fit into, and so now per volume, there's the numbers always vary just a little bit depending on how we might have sold in Indiana. In certain stores. So, but there's a team of people that shop us out to newsstands and everything else. And,
yeah, it's an impressive list. Looking at the website, there's just so many, and that's a great accomplishment to get a distributor so soon.
It was a surprise, to be quite honest with you.
You guys must have been stoked.
Yeah, we were pretty happy, man. That was the last thing I expected was to ever hear back from that lady. I should go through my emails one day and try to look up that her name and maybe send her a thank you letter. But I think the product has sold itself at some level.
Absolutely.
And not being overconfident or anything else, but we do a good job. And
well, I think I told you when I called you. I think I told you when I called you the first time. I have most of your volumes, and actually we were going down the list before, and I was thinking, I don't think I have this one. I have to buy it. And most of them are still in the original plastic because I open them, I read them with as careful as I can, and put them back like if it was an old comic, just because it's so pretty, man, that I want to keep it like intact. I don't even know for what, or for the future, or I hope my kid likes motorcycles. But when I see a product that is made with as much love as I would put into, I feel like I have to keep it like if it was a collectible almost.
Well, that's exactly what we set out to do, is what you just explained. And it's something about the product we should talk about a little bit is there's like the papers we use, the coverings we use, and even our process of being what they call offset sheet fed process, which is, we don't print digitally, right? It all, when we first released Meta, I was dying to get feedback, right? I was like, oh man, what are people going to think about this? And one of the first things I remember was a couple emails or messages of like, wow, this smells so good. And it wasn't something that I had really taken into consideration because we didn't have the end product until we got volume 1. But, the whole sheet-fed offset process creates a certain smell. And there's a lot of things that we could do to save a lot of money through the print process that we choose not to do. And
it wouldn't be the same quality.
Right. If we were to print digitally, you would lose that smell. And, my job is to look at all that stuff and to make sense of it. And, I have some other friends that are publishers and act as mentors for me at times. And I was talking to one of my guys, name is Dan Brogan. He has a publication out of Colorado called 5280. And I was telling him, I was like, Dan, I can save thousands of dollars if I go digital. So Ben and I will recognize the difference, but for the most part, our readers wouldn't. And he told me, he said, man, it's like coffee. It's like a bag of coffee. And he said, you lose that, man, you're losing the soul of your product. Right?
Absolutely.
He said it's part of the experience. And so
how would you compare? Because I think you'd be the only person. Well, not the only person, but I think you'd be one of the best people to ask this comparison. How would you compare the difference from reading your book versus reading it online? Like the difference between something physical and online,
an ebook or something like that.
Yeah. That's. I don't think you could really compare them. Down to the papers and the coatings, there's a true physical experience you get out of the book, and not trying to over sensationalize it, but
it's what you believe. You proved it.
Yeah. It's not. I will say it's not the best book to read on an airplane because of the landscape. I've gotten a lot of feedback from people, but we do repurpose content for online. We pull up stories from past volumes to put it out there, and but to me, it's not the same whatsoever. And I'm not knocking online. I get online 100 times a day to do different things, but I think it'd be the difference between listening to a record on a record player and downloading something on Spotify,
right, or watching it on YouTube.
That'd be that'd be a decent comparison.
That's a great comparison. That's a
Yeah.
very good comparison.
There's something special about having a physical connection with a product, and that's what I love so much about it.
And it's real. It's physically real and in front of you, and you can pass it on and hand it down and take it with you in the car.
Yeah,
and you don't have to charge it.
Nope. And man, when you think about, we were talking about photographers and journalists and Ben as a designer, that stuff's meant for print, right? It's preserving your work. What's really important to both of us is, 20 years from now, I can go back and pick up my work. And if I was doing that online, who knows what online's going to look like in 20 years from now, but the shit's going to be archived and everything else. And, for us, there's a lot of personal satisfaction that comes out of, seeing your work. And I'll backtrack for a little bit, but when I was a kid, I was severely dyslexic, right? And I was born with my right eye was 80% stronger than my left eye. So I was forced to go to the eye doctor and to do as much reading as I possibly could. And my mom would take me to a place called Owl Bookstore, probably a couple times a week to look for magazines. And all I do is buy motorcycle magazines. And I was obsessed with magazines starting about the third grade. I just had every motorcycle magazine, motorcycle book you could ever imagine. And it's kind of funny because all these years later, I'm publishing my own. Absolutely, but yeah. I had a real connection with magazines for that reason. They were my tool to help strengthen my eyes and to help to work on my dyslexia. And the last thing I ever really imagined I would do was to write a story. And I'll leave sentences out all the time. Yeah. Ben will be like, "Hey, dude, what were you writing here? You left like a whole sentence out." And I'll go back. I'm like, "Oh God!"
In your head, yeah, it's the way your brain is wired. Yeah. It worked.
Yeah, so it's to me, it's special that way because I had to overcome a lot of stuff when I was younger in regards to writing and reading and everything else, and to all these years later to have a product like this in the marketplace is special to me for those reasons as well.
Yeah, I can see the value. I mean, you've obviously done a great job, and your team has done a great job in creating so much value, and it represents how much this means to you guys.
It does. Ben as well. He, like I said, man, I've worked with a lot of different creatives and designers over time, and he's just there's been times where he probably wants to kill me more than I want to kill him sometimes, but I'm just so blessed to work alongside somebody like, and I tell Ben this often. I told him just the other day, I make sure to tell him that how grateful I am to work alongside him. And he's a super intelligent dude and he puts a ton of thought into everything he does. And just having that partnership is super special as well.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Congratulations on that. Can we talk about your, I see your prices, which is amazing value for what you're getting and the quality of work and all the manpower, but I see you have subscription options. Can you talk about that, what you offer to the public?
Yeah. So now, we just changed our subscription model, with the release of volume 17, which is our first volume of 2020. And, before it was a 1-year subscription for which was 3 volumes for $45. And we didn't have the software or weren't using software that allowed us to have like automatic renewal.
Right.
We had that software a few years ago, and it was dated and didn't work well for us. So we decided just to do it. Basically managed a subscription would run out. We'd have that tagged, and we know to send out reminders to all those people. But this year we were able to set up recurring subscriptions where people are only charged per volume. We brought our price down because at the end of the day, we don't make money off of subscriptions. There's a little bit of profit there,
Right.
but the end goal is eyeballs. That's our end goal with everything that we do. And so we decided to cut our pricing down as well, and just make it. There's a lot of conversation that went into it. $10 is an easy number, right?
Yeah.
And versus 45 to commit to. So now if you subscribe, you have the option to opt out at any time. If not, then you're charged again with the release of each book.
So $10, that's every 3 months, because roughly 4 volumes a year. So $40 a month.
Yeah.
You get
$40 a year.
$40 a year. Sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
And you get these masterpieces that
Yep.
so much work is involved and quality.
And then if you miss one, you can buy one for $16.95, or if it's an old one, $15 or something.
$16.95 is our newsstand price, and we left that alone. I think
it's amazing.
It's a good price for the newsstand, even to be honest with you. We're able to create some comparisons with other titles out there, but so we're going to stay at $16.95 on the newsstand, at least for this year, and probably moving forward there.
And what about the ones that are sold out? Are they sold out forever, or they're going to come? You're going to print out a few more, or how does that work? Because you said 10,000, right?
Yeah, those are sold out forever, unfortunately.
Oh, so they're collector's editions.
Yeah, we have our own secret stash, of course.
I'm gonna need some more than those.
What's that?
I'm gonna probably need a couple of them. I don't know which ones is sold out, but I think I've been eyeballing. I've been eyeballing number. I think it was number 12, and if my wife would have seen that cover, it would be in a.
Palm Springs.
Yeah,
the Palm Springs one. It's a.
If I had that magazine, it would be probably hanging in my wall, and I haven't seen it. So that means that probably I don't have it. So start looking in your secret stash.
Secret stash is really small, to be honest with you. We finally got to a point where we just got to hold on to these, because 10 years from now we need them. So
down the road, they're gonna always have value. Actually, more value.
Yeah, we won't sell that small stash. That's just for our personal, archive. It's the good problem is that we sold out of those volumes. It sucks because now we can't reprint those, right? We can't do like a small run because set up, and I don't know. Maybe in time, if things are going super great, we could throw some extra money at that, but it's
do like an
pretty
anniversary, limited anniversary edition or something.
Exactly, or put out, maybe put out pull stories from a few of those volumes and put out a special one-off book. There's some ways to do it, but reprinting a complete volume is the minimums would never make sense.
I mean, one thing that comic books do is once it's past like 5 years, they will come up with a book like this thick with all the volumes in one. And
yeah,
that would be
we've thought about doing something like that.
An amazing coffee table book.
Yeah, we've definitely kicked around the idea too of you know, in the future creating a real book, you know, that is ad free and is, you know, a bigger coffee table style book.
Yeah.
I think in time we'll be, that might be something, like you said, what's next is creating an actual book. And I think we're still technically a magazine because we're ad supported, and but we've definitely over the years talked about how nice it would be to have a true book.
Yeah.
So
what is the percentage? What is the percentage that you guys have in ads? What do you think that it will be a good percentage of content versus ads? I
think our ratio is there's 14 ads per each book, 120. So I think we're like 70 to 30 content versus ads. That question is brings up this point too. From day one, we've really encouraged our partners to focus more on their brand rather than product or a new colorway. Or, you know, just as an example, not every brand can do that. The ones that have agency build their creatives is a little bit tougher to get that message across to people. Yeah. But for the most part, our ad partners, I feel, do a really good job creating ads specifically for Meta. And
that's so
that
important.
I think a lot of, it's super important. And it's something that kind of cool because sometimes there's ads that are only seen in Meta, right? They're not using that same campaign or strategy for the other books that they're in. So,
which is important for them because, you know, I've go through many magazines, and if it's the same ad, same picture, same, you know, generic, you know, thing, I'll look at it once, but the moment I recognize that I've seen it before, I'll just skip it. You know, because it's not personalized. It's obviously it's just copy paste. So that's a huge value for your magazine. That's a huge value for your partners.
And especially also when you do ads that are more brand image, related. In a magazine like yours, that you guys are trying to do atemporal stuff that doesn't run out of time in any moment. You're not showing basically a T-shirt that you're selling now, or a shirt or a jacket. It's brand image recognition, basically. It's an image of what, you know, Deus Ex Machina is represented by. So it looks more like real content than, you know, look at my new boots and stuff like that.
Yeah, and, you know, I've had some cases, and it's usually, you know, maybe people that aren't motorcyclists. I've had a couple incidents where people are like, wow, this is amazing. How do you do this with no advertising? And when I've heard that a handful of times over the years, and that always makes me feel like we're doing our job, right? So it's pretty cool. There's a brand that's Forever Two Wheels that they do an amazing job. They've never advertised any product. Right? They basically they illustrate their ads specifically for Meta, and it's basically their artwork submission for each book, and I just love it. You know, it's cool to see that happen. There's definitely a difference between branding and advertising, and I think we're, you know, when we first came at them with no readership and said, hey, here's our ad rates, you know, people are like, dude, what are you thinking? And I said, hey, it was a hard sell in the beginning, because I said, hey, look, I want you to advertise in print. We only have spreads that are going to cost this much.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you that we don't want traditional advertising from your brand. So I had to really, really open some eyes and conversation to get people to go, hey, yeah, that's right. But with the spread ads and the landscape ads, it's about that position, right? It's about that, having that space to work within. And a lot of it, manufacturers, we've got support from, a lot of manufacturers, but other than that, we try to keep your share of voice, you're not going to have maybe 5 competitors in our book, right?
Yeah.
If you're an eyewear company, like 100%, you're our eyewear partner.
That's it.
Yeah. So we've been able to kind of categorize things and create that exclusivity for partners as well. And
that's so awesome. And I'm sure all your partners are very satisfied with that.
Yeah, they're stoked. And I work personally really hard to create added value wherever I can. I don't sell anything digitally, right? Like there's banners on our website, but that's added value to the print buy. Again, prior to Meta, I was owner of a digital publication, and I hit burnout, back in 2014, digital burnout. And I've always thought that, if traditional advertising can't support what we're doing, then we don't need to do it.
Yeah.
Or, we can't do it. Right. So, we do find support through special projects when we're doing higher level film things and stuff. There's budgets that open up there, but for the most part, we're supported. Our revenue streams are primarily advertising, and then apparel and things like that. There's a couple different streams that all come together, but the bulk of it is advertising sales that keeps the lights on.
And briefly, how is the apparel doing, and how did you guys choose your apparel, and how would you describe the apparel that you guys have on your site to the listeners?
The apparel's gone great, especially over the course of, in 2019, we teamed up with a company called, for printing, Superior Ink, and they're also Denver based, but they have a relationship with, a brand called All Made Apparel, and All Made, is an amazing company. And, there's actually a video that I can send you guys a link to that we did with All Made, but they basically use a lot of recycled materials to build their apparel, and they use less chemicals, a lot less chemicals than traditional. I learned a lot about shirts. I never knew this, but just like a white Hanes t-shirt, over 200 gallons of water are used on one t-shirt alone.
Whoa.
Traditionally.
What is the justification for that?
It's the process.
It's just the process
of how they do things. There's so much waste
cleaning,
going on out there.
filtering, processing.
Yeah.
I guess
washing out chemicals, you name it. But this brand All Made makes a beautiful shirt. They have the shirts sewn and the garments put together in Haiti, so that part of their whole goal is to reduce the impact of chemicals
and carbon footprint,
and to use the carbon footprint, but also to give a country like Haiti the opportunity, give jobs to people that need it, right? Yeah. And so we've teamed up with those guys, and we really made our first strong apparel push in 19, and it's been amazing. Our stuff sells very well.
A bunch of it's sold out.
Yeah, we're once this kind of COVID thing lifts, it's right back to producing more apparel. That's one of the first things that we need to get done. But it's fun. Ben does all the designs. Everything's done in house. And we at our workspace, we have our apparel for sale as well.
Yeah.
So like Meta is open to the public on a daily basis. We don't push ourselves as a retail shop, because we have thoughts of going in that direction, but right now our focus is on publishing. But people can stop in, buy a copy of the magazine, meet our staff, get some shirts, and do that whole thing. So it's it's done very.
What about your jerseys? Your jerseys are not from All Made, right?
No, the jerseys we had made from a company that's out of California called Canvas, and that's an old relationship through racing. Michael Lieb is the owner of Canvas, and I've known Michael for 20 years through professional racing, and he's doing something very unique in the apparel space, the motocross apparel space. So we've been trying to support him for obvious reasons, and he puts out a really good product as well. Yeah, jerseys, man, those things they sell out instantly.
Yeah. Well,
which is cool.
a lot of stuff was already, like I said, sold out, which is amazing. I mean, what you guys built and what you guys are doing, anybody that's seen it will know and appreciate the value. Anybody who hasn't seen it, hopefully will see it now and even appreciate it some more. Is there anything we missed or anything you want to bring up, updates or things to look forward to besides what we've talked about?
Just the release of these next couple of volumes that are coming out. I was talking with Ben. We were reviewing volume 18 today. I think it's going to be super special. Like I said, we're kind of doing a little bit. We're really trying to simplify things, which is exciting. I think, we will never
automate.
Or just, get this rhythm. We now know we're at 4 volumes, we feel really strongly about our network of contributors, photographers, pre-planning issues further ahead, and just creating more breathing room so that we can truly enjoy what we're doing. That you won't see outside looking in, but internally, that's big for us.
It's huge.
It's like I mentioned earlier. Yeah, quality of life, man. As long as we're truly enjoying what we're doing, then you're getting the best product, and we're focused on that.
No, it's very important. People don't understand that the biggest changes that companies need to do is from the management down. People think it's from the employees up, but that's not how it works. It's from management down, and that's where you guys will get a good rhythm and continue getting good people, inspired by the same inspirations. So 2020, absolutely. We can expect volume 17, 18, 19, and 20.
Yeah. So 20.
Did you
20
plan
volumes
having a
in 2020?
Yeah, 20 volumes.
Yeah, we definitely thought about that at the beginning of the year. It's kind of cool.
Super.
And
cool.
Also, man, just looking at volume 17, I've got one sitting over there on my shelf right there. It's this whole thing's gone by in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
It's been almost 7 years, but we're like, it seems like yesterday. We're just trying to figure out what we're going to put in volume 2. And, since then, like I said, we've met so many amazing people. We've built big on community here in Colorado. We've been able to travel the world and share our stories and learn stories of other people. And that's definitely the success that we're really grateful for right now. And I also feel really confident in our brand. I think that we've done something really unique that brought us together here in this conversation. And
that's right.
I think we're here to stay, which is that's a good feeling, because there's a ton of risk in what we did. Just taking that leap of faith, and especially it'd be a little different if I was single, but I'm a family man. I've got to see some return on my investment at some point, and we've gone through that stage, to where the business is making sense on paper as well.
Yeah.
And so it's good stuff.
Well, all I can say is congratulations. It's beautiful what you guys are doing. I'm so happy for you guys. I can't wait till we meet each other. Let it be in California, Denver, Sweden, or Indonesia. But hopefully we'll get to meet up soon.
We are also planning on bringing some of the podcasts on the road.
Right.
And I'm sure we'll end up in Denver at some point. And we can maybe do an episode with you and Ben. And we'll get him out of his comfort zone and make him talk.
We'll just go to his house and just knock on his door and start recording.
Yeah, he comes to the office. He's just he's a designer, right? So like I'm on the phone nonstop. That's what I'm just talking. That's what I do every day is just communicate. And Ben needs to focus, so he puts himself in the focus zone, and it seems to be paying off. So I'd really look forward to the opportunity to speak with you guys more in the future. And if we could ever have that opportunity to have Ben on the show as well, I think he'd be grateful for that as well.
Absolutely.
And you guys make it out here. I talk about our workspace, but we got a great space. It's second. It's awesome. You guys come out here, you have a place to stay is what I'm saying.
Oh, thank you so much, man.
Appreciate it. Same thing for you when you come to California.
Yeah, it better not be too good just in case we go and don't come back.
Yeah.
Hey, have you guys ever been out to Colorado to ride or anything?
I have not.
Oh, no, not to Colorado.
That's maybe something else I'll just touch on real quick is, I've said it multiple times in this interview is Meta has allowed us to travel the world over and ride motorcycles in some incredible places. But when it's all said and done, like, I don't think you asked me earlier about like, where's the best place to ride a motorcycle? And I think it's right outside my door. And that's really important to the brand as well, because I don't have to wait to travel somewhere to really go enjoy myself on a motorcycle. All I do is walk out my front door.
You are very, very blessed. Very blessed.
Yeah. I like it.
What's Meta's social media, websites, everything?
I thought you were gonna say, "What's your social security number?"
Yeah. What's your social security birthday? Okay, hold on. I don't have a pen.
Let me go get my bank account number real quick.
Yeah. We don't need routing. I'll figure that out.
That's awesome. Readmeta.com is our URL. It's our website. We have two social channels on Instagram. One is Meta, just META. The other one is Meta Denver. Meta Denver, we use that channel to promote local gatherings and rides that we host and events that we host at our shop. And then Facebook is Meta. One thing, we don't have a YouTube channel. Everything's on Vimeo.
Oh, Vimeo. Even better. Yeah, the quality.
Yeah, it's all Vimeo. But we are thinking about, we are working on the idea of putting together a film showcase and maybe even a film contest. And when we do that, I think we're going to start moving some of our stuff over to YouTube as well for obvious reasons. That's where the numbers are. The aesthetics of Vimeo really align with our brand much more so than YouTube.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we want to put our content in front of as many eyeballs as possible. So we'll probably be doing that as well here in the near future.
So there's a lot to look forward in the future.
For sure.
Well, that's very good. I want to say thank you for taking your time and letting us speak to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope you got everything you need here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know I'm kind of all over the place at times, but
not at all.
There's some good stuff.
Not at all. You're a very cool, easy to speak to person, and again, we thank you for your time for this conversation, and so do the listeners.
Excellent.
Thank you so much, man.
Appreciate it.
And that's it for this episode. Thank you so very much for listening. If you liked it, please make sure to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, on everywhere, wherever you're listening to this, there's a subscribe button. Please click on it. It helps the podcast. It helps the guest. It helps all of us. And make sure to follow us on Instagram at Ride Boundless to see amazing pictures and contents and videos of the people we are speaking to. Until then, see you next week. Ride safe, ride hard, ride boundless.